this just like you.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I'm not giving up.
Now, I know the harassment we suffered was in 92 to 94. That was quite a while ago, quite a few years ago, but the ramifications lasted all this time. I mean, what happened to us is, and I've done a little bit of research over the years, and that's why I say over the years I've seen a lot of other people suffering from legal abuse, moral abuse, and all kinds of different types of abuse. And that's why I included legal and moral abuse in the name, because what doesn't fall under the legal criteria falls under the moral criteria, And so, but it's really, it's horrible. It really is.
It is horrible. I'm not sure, but are you the one who told me that they gathered in your front yard in green shirts at one point?
No, I told you about one in California that I did tell you about that though, but there was a guy that called and he wanted to know what he could do about these neighbors that have painted their houses green all around him, and they wear green outfits as if they're using his house as a satanic circle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember you talking to me about that, but I didn't know if that was you. I had forgotten it's from California.
Right.
And that's very scary. He probably should move out of the area, because if he's in the middle of Satanists, that's not a good place for him to be, especially if he's not one. Because, they will terrorize. I know my group does believe, in satanic ritual abuse, the people that follow me. And at my sexual assault, I was put on my knees and told to denounce Christ, denounce the Jewish nation.
I know that. I've read that.
Denounce the Jewish nation and minorities.
And what happened when you denounced it?
I wouldn't. What happened is
I'm sorry, not denounced it. But what happened when you wouldn't denounce it?
Well, I was sexually assaulted. I got tossed around a little bit. I just wouldn't do it. I was sexually assaulted. I was gang raped at that time. I've been raped on more than one occasion, and that was a very bad night, because they had more than one person there, and they made that night living hell for me.
Oh my God.
And I'm doing everything I can. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. So
I don't blame you.
I was thrown on a coffee table and raped on my coffee table, and they just made it very miserable for me.
Well, Jesus says in the Bible that if you denounce me, you're going to be tortured and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you are. Many will hate him. Nations will hate you for loving me. That's what basically he says. And I really can't give him up, because my grandfather was a minister. And this is how I was raised. I was raised by two parents in 1920 who believe in old-fashioned morals and values. And I was raised to believe in Christ, and I just can't give it up. And you know what? What would have happened if I would have denounced him? I would have been raped anyway, right?
Right.
And I would have been tortured anyway. They weren't going to go away whether I denounced him or not. And what would I do if they would have killed me that night? I would have lost my soul. So if they're going to kill me, I might as well keep my soul in the name of Christ and not lose my soul. If I'm going to die either way, I better die believing in God, in my opinion.
Well, after I read your story, I told my daughter, I said, whatever you do, never denounce Christ. Because, and the one thing that got me through that got me through some of that was to realize that Jesus had it worse than I did. I mean, basically, Jesus had a whole country against him. We may have had a neighborhood.
Well, you know what?
Even though it didn't help a lot.
It's so strange you should say that, because when I was on my knees and they did that to me, that's exactly what I thought. Christ took worse than I took, and he died for me. I can take what they dish out.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
And I pray, God, I would never, no matter what someone wants to do to me, I don't think I'd ever denounce Christ. Because, I know I wouldn't. Because I know that I would lose my soul if I ever did.
You're right. You'd lose your soul for what? A group of Satanists?
Yeah.
Cult people? You denounce Christ and they kill you anyway, so you lose your soul and your life?
Right.
It's better, I'm going to suffer through whatever they throw my way. I'm determined that, and I will not blame God for this.
No.
I will not blame God, because this is not God's fault. He didn't do this to me. People did this to me.
Now, see, He's shown me a lot of signs before, so I know that God exists. I have no doubt about that at all. Some people say, well, how do you know the Bible is true? I said, it doesn't really matter if every little piece in the Bible is true or not. God is love, And that's all you really have to concentrate on. You know what I mean? God isn't somebody who's going to be hateful and mean and do dirty things to people like that. Not in any way at all. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, I mean, I just, you know, and getting through that, you know, knowing that God is there with us, and he helped us through many situations. I mean, we even got someone gave us a German Shepherd that during our harassment, and that German Shepherd showed the neighbors on no uncertain terms that you stay off our property. And that was really great. I mean, all the neighbors, and I think God had a hand in that one.
I'm sure he did. You just have to be careful that they don't throw that dog anything like poison, because they will kill animals. I've had animals.
We were real careful. We kept her in the house. Oh, yeah, we watched out for that because we were afraid that they would poison her.
They are really unbelievable with this.
And, you know, because they were listening in on our conversations, I think they came up with another device, you know, because I said I think on the phone one time that I was afraid that they would poison our dogs, so they came up with this other thing that I tried poisoning their dog, because I think they were listening to the conversation on the phone, because I'm sure they were tapping, I know they were tapping in our phone lines. And I know this because a sergeant accused me one time of recording our conversation, and and I told him I wasn't recording our conversation, and he threatened me and told me he was going to take it to the state attorney's office and stuff. And I said, well, I said, I know what's going on. I said, the neighbors must be tapping in our phone line. I look out the window and guess who's running out of their house, looking up the phone lines, and they're going down the street, and I don't know. You just know. I knew they were tapping into our phone lines.
Oh, that's very common. I know they've recorded my phone conversation, and they've done it to a lot of victims. That's a very, very common tactic they use. They want to find out what you're doing, where you're going, who your friends are, you know, what arguments you have with people, where you're going to apply for a job so they can stop you from getting a job.
Yeah.
You know, they record, they listen, they'll do anything to get an advantage, to try and get an advantage over you in a negative way.
Yeah.
You know, Roberta, since all this happened to you, what's your advice to other victims?
Well, I'd say I will go ahead and, you know, document everything. That's one thing I'd say for sure to do. You know, to write everything down every day, whether anything happened or not, because, you know, that way maybe you could find a pattern. You know what I mean? Even if you document something that doesn't happen, maybe there's a pattern there that you maybe will find out maybe months down the road or something, and hopefully figure out when they may do it the next time, you know, or they may be up to something else or stuff like that. But I'd say probably document everything. Go to, you know, I know that if the law enforcement are involved, that's kind of hard to
get around. It's very difficult to get around.
Right. They do have something called Internal Affairs here in Florida, and it may be called something else in different states, that you can go to Internal Affairs or whatever it's called in your state to report misconduct from officers, and hope the Internal Affairs isn't involved as well. You know what I mean? Well,
you know, we have an OPS, an Office of Professional Standards here in Chicago for that purpose, and I filed a complaint and called up about a month later to find out about it, and guess what? Totally gone. So that's not uncommon either for someone on the inside to get rid of complaints like that. And I heard last year, actually, the Chicago Police Department, they were investigating that because one too many complaints disappeared. So something did come down legally, and it was on the news about that. So there's a lot of underhandedness happening.
The judge at first, that signed the first Baker Act on me, just about 2 or 3 years ago, was under investigation for misconduct in the court. Matter of fact, him and a bunch of other judges in the same courthouse and everything, they quit while they were under investigation, so they wouldn't lose their retirement, because everything was coming down on them because there was some corruption going on in the courthouse.
Oh, sure.
And I would say, you know, pull up any reports, keep a copy of everything, you know, keep a copy of, you know, even keep it locked up, safe and secure, so somebody can't break into your house and steal them or something. You know, maybe get a fireproof safe, maybe rent box or something at the post office or anything to keep your documents in a safe place.